Locked on Syracuse. I'm Jackson Holzer. We are joined by Neil Adler from inside the Loud House. Let's go over the strengths and weaknesses of this team this upcoming season. Neil, we'll start with the positive. We'll start with the strengths. I'll give you mine. I believe that this is a team that is going to score a lot this year. They're going to be one of the top offenses in the ACC. Okay. And I also think I'm going to categorize this as a strength as well, that this is a pretty athletic roster, in my opinion. So, Neil, with that being said, what are your strengths for Syracuse this year?
Yeah, I mean, the first thing that jumps out for me is the athleticism of this team. And Autry's talked about it. And, when they did their stuff in the portal and they got the guy from Georgia Tech, Soiree, and then they got William Kyle, people were like, oh, they don't have a true center. Well, you and I have talked about this. Houston didn't have a guy above 6'9" or 6'10" on their roster this past year, and they should have won the NCAA tournament. So I don't look at it as like they just got a lot of athletic dudes that are long, and it's not just the centers, but you got Sadiq and Tyler Betsy and Freeman. At whether it's power forward, probably power forward 4/5, maybe I don't know, more guys on the wing at small forward. I feel like that's more like Nate King's. Maybe Betsy's a 3. Aaron Womack, although I don't know how much he's going to play. But yeah, I mean, across the board, I think they're athletic. I think they have good depth. I would tend to agree with you that I think they'll be able to score a good amount. I'm just curious how they're going to score.
That's a good question.
Because as we've talked ad nauseum about, Syracuse was not a good 3-point shooting team last year, 32.8%. And they don't have Chris Bell or whatever, but they've got guys that look like on paper, at least they could shoot threes, like a Cayenne, a Donnie Freeman, certainly Nate Kings. He shot 44% last year on high volume at Oregon State. Starling's not a great 3-point shooter. We don't know how much, run Luke Fennell's going to get. I don't think Sadiq's a really good long range shooter, but so I don't know how much they're going to score from the perimeter, but I feel like whether it's the mid range or guys going to the cup, or this is a big key for Syracuse, getting steals, playing good defense, but getting steals, getting out in transition and scoring easy transition points. These guys can play above the rim. I think they'll score a lot of points that way. I agree with you that I think they could be one of the higher scoring teams in the ACC. I just don't know how the points are going to come across. I'm still not 100% sold on the defense, but I don't think it'll be as bad as last year. I think part of that is, like you've said today already a couple times, 11 of the 13 guys are new to the program. And defense, I mean, both sides of the court, but defense, it's all about, kind of acting as one unit and communicating well, whether you're in man-to-man, which they'll presumably play the most, and then maybe some zone. So I don't know if defense will be a strength, but I don't think it'll be as big of a weakness as last year. But yeah, I would say scoring, I would say athleticism. I think they'll be a solid rebounding team too. I do. Yeah. I think they will. The one thing that frustrated me about the zone in the past, and they had some killer zone defenses, but even when they did have really good defenses, playing in the zone lends itself to struggles rebounding, as just because you're guarding an area, not guarding a guy. So I feel like if they're predominantly playing man-to-man defense and with all this athleticism and height and length, I think they'll be a good rebounding team.
Well, I was looking at last year. Syracuse was 8th in the ACC in points per game. That's not bad. And I think that they'll be higher this year because they have more talent on the roster than they did a year ago. They were 13th in the conference in 3-point shooting. So to your point, the points last year didn't really come from the 3-point line. So you might be asking, how did they score points? I'm looking right now at the stats. They were 5th in the ACC in offensive rebounds. So you generate enough shot attempts. Eventually, you're going to score some points because you're getting second, third, fourth opportunities to score on every single offensive possession. So that's how Syracuse was able to piece together a pretty decent offense last year. Right. Granted, the team wasn't very good, but they still had a pretty decent offense despite not being a very good shooting team. And to your point, I think they will be a decent rebounding team, although that's where I think they'll miss Eddie Lampkin the most, is the fact that they're not going to get the rebounding from him anymore. There is no 6'11" big guy down there to go get rebounds, but there are like 4 guys on the team that are locks to hit double digits this season in averages. You know that Nate George is going to give you 10. You know that JJ is going to give you at least 10. You know that Donnie is going to give you at least 10. And I think Nate Kings is going to give you at least 10 as well. And I'm being conservative on most of those guys because Donnie Freeman and JJ Starling could easily both combine to average at minimum 30 points a game.
100%.
And then you have Nate Kings and Nate George, who will probably also give you 25 to 30 points a game as well. So with 4 players, you're looking at potentially averaging between 50 to 60 points.
That's
From
fair.
then on, you look at the rest of the team, you don't really have to get much from anyone else night in and night out to be a pretty good offense where you can average a high 70s, low 80s a game this season. This is going to be a good offensive team.
Yeah.
That's why I'm not as worried about the shooting beyond just Nate Kings. I do think that could be a weakness. I am concerned about the defense. There are 2 concerns with it. Number one, we have not seen in the Adrian Autry era this team be a good defensive team despite all the different personnel. It has never seemed to be able to come together with Adrian Autry. They consistently over the last couple of years had a bad defense. So I can't just sit here and say, well, they'll be fine on defense because look who their coach is. Their coach is, Kelvin Sampson, right? You know that Houston's bad defense because Kelvin Sampson's the head coach. He knows he's a master at coaching defense. That's not what Syracuse has right now in Adrian Autry. He has not proven that this season where I will blindly give him the benefit of the doubt. Number 2, I have to start looking at the personnel. There really only are 2 guys on the team that I could sit here and say, those could be plus defenders. And even I have concerns. William Kyle is a great shot blocker. But his analytics will tell you he might not be the greatest defender in the world. We'll find out who's right. I'm open to it, but I just wanted to point that out. And then the second one is Sadiq White, who was one of, if not the best defenders in the class of 2025 in high school, but he's a true freshman. How is he going to defend college players? It's a little bit different defending a 6'10" senior power forward than it is in high school. I know he's playing in top leagues and everything like that, but it's a different game. It's a different animal in college. So how good is his defense going to be right away? But because they're going to be a high scoring team, that's why it's going to be more watchable this season, Neil.
Sure. It'll be fun. I agree. The defense is, I don't know if it's going to be a weakness, but I can definitely not say right now it's a strength. And yeah, you're right about Sadiq White, and we also don't know how much run he's going to get. But hopefully they can be serviceable on defense. Hopefully they're solid on the glass on both ends of the floor. And again, hopefully they cut down on their freaking turnovers, if I might say. Well,
Nate George is prone to some turnovers.
Yeah,
right? You have to live by it too.
But he's like high risk, high reward. I know. But he led the ACC in assists per game last year.
Yeah. It's. Sorry, I'm going to throw the guy under the bus here, but Jaquan Carlos last year, I mean, he's not giving you much production on offense or on defense. So whenever he did turn the ball over, it's magnified because he's not really able to make up for it in other areas. If Nate George is giving the team 12 points and 7 assists a game, if he has a turnover here and there, you can live with it because he's doing a lot more besides the few negatives he'll have during the game. Plus, he's going to have the ball a ton. And if you have the ball a lot in basketball, inevitably turnovers are going to come. This is not football where, you're only expecting 1 turnover a game. This is where we have to get back into that basketball mindset. This team's going to turn the ball over 10 times a game. Granted, like you just write it in. It's going to be 10 times over the course of 40 minutes. And you just hope that it's no more than that. But, that's. Yeah,
I mean, 10, I can live with 10 is better than, what was it last year? 12 point. Hold on, I have it right here. 12,
I have to look it up. Turnover
12.6. And part
they
of
were
it
last in turnover margin, by the way. They were negative 2.7.
Yeah. So it's not just how many they commit, it's how many are they forcing. And also, if they are committing 10 plus, how is there a transition defense? Are they getting back on, are they live ball turnovers, or they're, what's the spread in terms of how many points off turnovers they're creating versus allowing per game? Because they got crushed in that department so many times last year. So I could see Nate George definitely having some turnover stuff, here and there. But like you said, he'll score, he'll facilitate for others. He's really good. I'm really excited about our Syracuse's point guard play this year. I really am.
I am very excited too about Nate George and Syracuse basketball, which, by the way, exhibition games later this month, and the season tips off November 3rd at home against Binghamton. we'll have a post-game reaction show here on Locked on Syracuse. That's for sure.